Don't hit the table.
All right. Good morning, JoyGenea.
Good morning, Michelle.
And how are you today?
Fabulous.
Yeah?
Yes, thank you. So it's new.
What are we doing?
You know, we're going to share with people a huge thank you.
Yes. So, If These Heels Can Talk, welcome to If These Heels Can Talk. My name is Michelle with Bad Cat Digital.
I'm JoyGenea with Solutions by JoyGenea.
And today is our 100th episode, which is insane.
It's miraculous, actually.
It is kind of miraculous.
I have to say, when we started this pre-pandemonium and all of that.
Yeah, pre-pancake breakfast.
I never quite mapped out how many episodes we would do. We never limited it.
We never...
No,
we just said, let's do this as long as we want to keep doing it.
Right. It was just our normal entrepreneurial throw mud on the wall and see if it sticks kind of thing. And,
I've been really, we've gotten feedback from, people around. People share our podcast with their friends and their family. And it's just really gratifying to have that happen. And it's not like it's like thousands of people or anything. And that's fine. That's okay.
We've got a quiet following that just consistently grows.
Yes.
And I am so grateful for that. That's one of the things that has surprised me. I'm also surprised by the amount of people I bump into or the amount of people I'll just bump into and they're like, oh, you and Michelle.
Yeah, you could do the thing. Yeah.
And they're like, your voice sounds so familiar. And I'm like, we kind of have this podcast.
Yeah.
And I love when then they will then say, oh, I got an idea for you guys.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, good.
Yes.
Because we love ideas.
We love ideas. And one of the things that we were just set and ready to kind of start doing before the pancake breakfast hit was to have guests on our podcast.
We were there.
We were there.
We had the list.
We had the topics. We had all of the things we wanted to talk about. We were just starting to get all of our ducks in a row to start inviting people and lockdown.
And it was interesting how the podcast then shifted.
Right.
It became, for me, I'll just admit, it became kind of a lifeline. It was the only time I left the house.
Yeah.
Is we got together, sat huge distances apart, wore our masks
from each other's.
And had this weekly podcast on the weekend. We'd never intended for it to be a Saturday morning thing.
Yeah, no. And it was, not only was it a lifeline that way, but it was also a lifeline to recognize that another business person was going through the same kind of emotional journey I was going through.
Yeah.
And now that all of that's recorded and available, it's become a kind of a a journal of the pancake breakfast. I was just thinking about that this morning. It's still morning. It's very morning. But I was thinking about that when I got up this morning, and I was like, it would be really, really interesting to listen to some of those episodes, especially from beginning of lockdown, because it was scary and it was anxiety and we had no idea what was going to happen. And it's still a little scary and there's still anxiety and it's different things that we don't know is going to happen. But it's been 2 years.
Yeah. And it's shifted.
Yeah.
Like the type of anxiety and the things I'm worried about, they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just continues to shift. It just continues to shift, but we've grown more. I've grown more accustomed to the ongoing shifting.
Yes.
I just have an expectation it's going to be shifting again. And I'm like, oh, we're shifting. Okay.
It's been an amazing ride. So first of all, thank you, JoyGenea.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you to everybody listening.
Yes. So some other things that people were curious about.
Oh gosh, we have notes. I know. You're so official.
Why did we start this?
If I remember correctly,
yes.
One of the reasons that we started this was because you were leaving a shared office and we wanted to stay connected with each other.
Yes.
And now you're back in a shared office. And so hopefully we'll still want to stay connected with each other.
Oh, I would say yes. This is valuable.
Yes.
Our schedules are so busy. If this weren't on the schedule,
yeah, it would have gotten dropped.
Yeah. I was saying we'd barely see each other.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't be what it is.
It wouldn't be what it is. And the special relationship we have just wouldn't be there because this weekly time that we kind of spend in co-therapy together is
bringing everybody with us.
Bringing everybody with us along the way is, I think, really, really valuable.
I think it is too, and I greatly appreciate it. I know another reason we talked about this is because other people would overhear some of our conversations.
Yes.
And we'd be talking about, well, why didn't somebody tell us this sooner?
Right.
Why? God, I wish I would have known about that.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been freaking helpful.
There's things that, especially as women in business, that that we handle or deal with, and we interact with the world differently, and the world interacts with us differently than all of the books say. All of the books written by men say.
Yes.
And so now that the books are starting to be written by women as well.
Yes.
And there are podcasts like If These Heels Can Talk and
yes.
That by women, you find community in the shared experience of that.
Yes.
And recognition that it's not an isolated difference for me. It's something that's a pattern in the world of business and entrepreneurship for women.
And that's one of the feedback items I've loved is when people have said, you saved me time, you saved me money, you saved me. Like, I listened to one episode and I went, oh my gosh, I think I'm doing everything wrong. Or I need to find out about that. I didn't.
Sure.
It was in my blind spot and I didn't even know.
Yeah. What's your favorite episode we've done?
The ones where we break down laughing. There's a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple we just couldn't even finish.
Yep. And they were somewhere during the pandemic. They were somewhere in there, and we got started on something. I don't remember what it was, and all of a sudden we were so off topic, and we were laughing. And in the middle of that, it felt so good.
Yeah.
Like, that's honestly.
It felt really good. There's been, I don't know if I have a favorite episode, but there have been ideas that have come out of the podcast that I've really, really liked. I've liked the concept of business therapy. This idea that, that a community of business people, small business people, entrepreneurs will help each other and support each other through and mentor each other and, be there for each other emotionally through the journey. I loved the idea of anxiety glitter. I think that came out of one of our early episodes
have that trademarked.
about stress in the holidays and how, stressful situations and circumstances, you just add more glitter.
Oh yeah.
To the anxiety or the stress that you already have. There's just been some concepts that I've really, really appreciated, and I've worked out a great deal of things.
Yes. It is interesting. Goals. We'll sit here and we tend to walk out of here. You guys don't know this, but I'll share it with you. We tend to walk out of here. I have a small to-do list.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, well, we resolved that, but now what about this, and this?
Right.
Like, now this, and this needs to be handled.
Because we're learning this as we go. We're sharing what we're learning. We're sharing what we know right now, but what we know can change.
I know one of the biggest things I celebrate is the fact that we have taken people on the journey of the actual growth of your business from 3 employees, actually 2 employees and yourself, to how many staff members do you have
12.
right now? You have 12 staff members. That's, for entrepreneurs, that's that big growth moment that scares the heck out of them.
It's very scary.
And I'm hoping a lot of people go back and tap into some of those when they're like, I need to grow, but I'm so afraid. You made it look doable. Thank you. It wasn't easy. Like, you were I so appreciated your authenticity. I always appreciate that. Doing this for me, one of the things I've really gained out of this is embracing warts and all who I am. Like, when we first, I can go back and listen, we were so protective of ourselves.
Careful.
Like, yes, we're very careful, and the way we would say things, and it felt, I'm like, how do politicians do this? Like, you really think about every word before it comes out, and as time has gone on, you get more comfortable with the mic.
Yes.
And hearing yourself and so forth. Yes. But you also, I don't know, I didn't want to keep working so hard to find the right words that would offend nobody or wouldn't give away too much vulnerability about me. I'm like, you know what?
Have it.
I'm just trying to figure this out just like you are.
It's so funny. I'm doing a lunchtime learning next week around telling video story for your business. And one of my main points is to get over it. Like whatever it is that you feel about yourself on camera, you have to get over it.
You do.
Like whether it's, a double or triple or quadruple chin or, gray hair, or you got your uncle's nose, or one ear is lower than the other, or whatever. Whatever it is, whatever the weird thing is that's been in your head bugging you about yourself since you were a child.
Get over it.
Just, you have to get over it. You have to get over yourself. You have to let it go. I had somebody said, I love, being on video, but my voice sounds so weird to myself. I can't. And I'm sitting here going, then shut off the sound. You know what you said. Rewatch it without the sound on. Get over it. Like, you have to get over it. Because otherwise you can't put anything out into the world that's real.
And that is where we're at in the world.
Yeah.
Like, canned stuff isn't cool.
Well, it's like,
it's got its place.
We grew up with broadcast television. We grew up with the fantasy. We grew up with Dynasty and soap operas and even
Great American Hero.
Yeah, even sitcoms were a fantasy. They all were a fantasy, and everybody, had great clothes and they were perfect, and even Roseanne, which was not any of those things, was still a fantasy, right? Like, because it's still so it's just. You just have to get past I don't have a hair and makeup artist with me at all times to just be in it. Just do the thing. Just, I go out into the world with my face every day. Why is it that big of a deal to record it on camera?
It's not. That's what we've learned.
That's what we've learned. And so I feel like this evolution into streaming is a really good one for us. And I also feel like our next evolution is going to be fantastic.
So what's next?
What is next? I've been talking a lot. What's next?
What's next? So in case you weren't aware, we are now currently live streaming on YouTube when we record our sessions. So if you're around or available or just in need of some fix at 7 a.m. on most Wednesdays. Central Time, 7 a.m. Central Time. Feel free to check us out on YouTube. We are also saving all of these. We're putting together a guest list. We're finally we're at a place
we're
where
getting back to inviting guests. So we're super excited about that.
And it wasn't that we couldn't have videoed them in.
Right. We could have.
We did think about that. We didn't want, there was that tipping point where we stopped talking about the pandemic. We got at the place where enough. We have to talk about just the moving forward.
Yep.
That's all there is. It was interesting. We didn't talk a lot about it, but all of a sudden our topics, we just shifted tack. Yep, we were enough. It moves forward. I was concerned about even bringing people in because they might not be at that place.
Right.
And we might wind up
back.
Having lots of conversations about the pandemic yet, and that wasn't kind of where we were at.
Right.
And so that's why I know I wasn't pushing for guests, because we could have videoed them in, but it just wasn't. It was a timing thing.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think in addition to that, there was a lot, especially this last summer. Your business has been going through a lot of evolution in the last 8-9 months, and so has mine.
Yeah.
And so the time and effort to properly prepare for a guest, it shifts how we've been operating If These Heels Could Talk from now. Yeah. And I want to honor a guest's time by properly preparing for that guest.
Yes.
And so that means that, there's more focus in business has to be placed into If These Heels. And neither one of us, I think, up until this point this year, have been able to give that.
Right.
And so now we're able to give that. Now we're able to evolve. And it just so happens to coincide with our 100th episode.
Yay!
Yeah.
So another thing is we are working on that award. We've talked about it before, but the Very Soulful Award.
Yes.
We're still working on the naming of it. But that's going to be coming out. We'll be having some small conversations with those people.
Yep.
And learning more about them and why they've received that award. But definitely, that for me is something near and dear to my beliefs and importance.
Absolutely.
And you're helping me lift that up, and we're making that an awesome possibility.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting.
I am getting excited about our guests.
I am too.
We keep adding people.
We keep adding people to the list, and we're like, okay, we got to, you, and then you, and then, we want you, and then,
So I'd say watch in November for probably our first guest.
Yeah, probably mid-November, I would say.
I was going to say, we'll have our first guest, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I'm really excited about the next iteration of If These Heels Could Talk. I think it's going to be a really positive one. I'm super excited about it, and I'm really excited to have gone and grateful to have gone on this journey with you.
Me too. This has been a love of technology and a love of conversation and of sharing learned experiences and of just continuing to learn.
Yeah.
We don't always agree.
No.
We don't always even understand each other.
Right.
The other person's view. But I sure understand it a lot better after we've had these conversations.
Absolutely.
And I'm most grateful for the fact that people have tuned in.
People are actually listening.
It's amazing.
It's kind of fabulous.
So to our friends and family who were our first listeners, thank you.
And to everybody else who has joined the If These Heels Could Talk fandom, wow.
Did you say that?
I said that. That sounded kind of arrogant, but also a little like I'm just going to own it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much to everybody for sticking with us through the pancake breakfast.
Yes.
And beyond. And we are so excited for the next round of If These Heels Could Talk. Thank you all so much.
Thanks. Bye now.